this is Amy. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. I am going to do a funky white and berry wine flower for you. I will be using two different number 12 flat brushes by Plaid. They're one-stroke brushes. I just got these in, and this is a Deerfoot Stippler, a number 2, and I'm going to be using that to create the centers. Something new, so bear with me. I'm just learning how to use it. And then I have a dotting tool, a dotting stylus that I'll be using as well. Paint I'm using today is berry wine, wicker white, moon yellow. I'm going to try, I didn't use this in my sample, but I'm going to try to use the burnt umber on the centers along with the moon yellow, happy green, and thicket. All my paints are folk art products, a mixture of enamel and multi-surface. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. To begin with, I'm going to double load my brush, my number 12 flat brush, and I apologize, my furnace just kicked on. But I'm going to be double loading my brush with Thicket, Wicker White and the berry wine. And I am using a little bit of floating medium, or it's actually clear medium. Mention that as well. And double loading, just so you see, I'm doing it and just dipping it in and blending it back and forth. Now this flower pattern that I'm going to be painting on this glass candle holder, candy holder, whatever you want to use it for. It's a glass vase, you can put flowers in it. I don't sell these. I actually try to get the paint off as best I can and repaint over them to do my designs. Alright, so this flower that I'm painting, this flower design, I'm just going to wiggle my brush just quickly back and forth. It's not any special design per se. It's just a fun one. And you just take your brush, you're on the chisel edge, and you're just going to quickly go back and forth with it. And I like to try to get the center as closed up as possible, but it doesn't have to be completely closed up. It's not a big deal if it's not. I'm just going to keep waving it back and forth. And if you feel the need to go in and cover it back with more paint, you can do that. And then just come into the center. Just a very funky, crazy flower. And then I'm going to go over here and do it again. I am going to be overlapping, as you can see, up on the chisel edge, and you're just going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Very easy. Keep in mind, my designs are meant to be easy so that you can paint. They're not meant to be difficult. If they are difficult, I apologize because that's not my intention. I want you to paint and have fun at it, just like I do. Now I'm going to do some different, probably not as many as I did on my sample, but I'm just going to do, come back down in here, and this is going to be kind of a partially open, not open flower, if that makes sense. You don't have to push down real hard. If you do, you're going to get, you know, a different look, but that's okay. Almost kind of reminds me that I'm scrubbing. Like say I'm scrubbing the floor, scrubbing the windows. That's my partial. I'm going to do another one just right over here. I could even do them, overlap them a little bit. And they don't have to be as big. It could be smaller. Pull them out. Yeah. Awesome. Alright, so then down here, I try to just mix it up a little bit and do a few open, a few that are closed. Just have a mixture. And again, on this sample, I am not going to be doing a variety of different flowers. I'm just doing this one style, just to demonstrate how easy it is. Alright, so it can be by itself. And then you can, because like I said, I don't want to have too many. I can do a bud over here. And again, it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Pretty easy, right? And you're up on the chisel edge of your brush. And then I'm just going to come back over here, kind of layer it a little bit, and leave it at that. Pretty easy, right? Okay, I need to do my odds, so I want to do, maybe I'll put another one in here. Well, you know what? Yeah, I am. I'm going to do a third in here. And that's just because I like to do odd numbers. So I'm just, again, doing chisel edge, back and forth, chisel edge, back and forth. And you can do them partially, you know, where you don't even complete them, but I'm going to have them all, either how the little buds are, or have them be completely open. But you could play with it. And also in this design too, you could go through and do a mixture of greenery beneath it if you want, meaning, you know, layering that and then adding the flowers. That's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and start putting in the greenery, giving this glass or the flowers a little bit of time before I tap in the centers. If you don't like to do wet on wet, then make sure that you give it some drying time before you do that, because it will mix. You know, you might pull up some of the color since it's not dry. And when I'm doing it on glass, I do like to kind of tip it into the white, just to give it a little bit more thickness, because I do like my designs to be opaque as possible. Okay, so my furnace finally stopped running. Yay! Sorry about that, guys. I do my videos down in my basement, and that's the bad thing about doing them down in the basement, because it does typically come on when I'm doing a video. Can't actually avoid it. Okay, right now I'm just drawing in, painting in my stems, and I'm going to do it as if it's just all on one branch kind of deal. And you can put these in more if you want, but I would judge it based on, because I'm going to be painting leaves and all, so I don't know how much I really need to fuss with the actual stems, because they're really not very opaque. But right now I'm putting in this part to attach it to the stem, since these are my little buds, or whatever you want to call them. Okay, and I'm going to do it over here. Pull. If you have any questions, comments, please leave those down below. Make sure when you're painting, I like to try to remind people that they clean their glass. Again, I don't sell this, So my glass can have some remnants of, especially right now it has a lot of the frosted glass still showing, but make sure you clean it. You wash it with soap and water. You can then put rubbing alcohol over your glass to clean it. Make sure there's no debris, no oils left on it. And that way you will have it clean where your paint will adhere better to your glass. If you're going to bake it, which with this paint you don't actually have to bake, you bake it, make sure you place it in a cold oven. Then you preheat your oven. If you don't know your preheat time, I would allow at least 10 minutes. Mine can take upwards to 20 minutes to preheat, so if you don't know yours, which I know some people do not, you can either test it out and time it and see, or you can just, like maybe the first time you bake your glass, judge it that way, but at least 10 minutes. Add that to your bake time, so if it's 30-minute bake time and it's 10 minutes added, you want to do it for at least 40 minutes. If you find that it's longer, than next time bake it longer. It's not going to hurt it to bake a little bit longer. That's really not going to mess it up if you have your glass in the oven a little bit longer. Once it's done baking, turn off your oven and let it cool down before you remove the glassware from the oven. Quick change in temperature is what will cause your glass to break. I like Libby glass, but you can use really, I think, just about anything, as long as it's not considered fine china. Something like that might not hold up very well. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because if you bake it, you want it to be something that's going to hold up to the baking. I know a lot of people use glassware that they buy at the dollar stores, and those seem to be fine. Like I said, I use Libby glass, which I love, but I'm mainly aware of it because of the place I buy my glassware. They sell a lot of that. Then when I was actually doing a lot of glass painting, I would have Libby glass deliver it to my house, and they're located in Ohio, so that was perfect. I was supporting a local company, not local to me really, but they're in Ohio, and I would get all my glassware delivered. So anyways, you can see this is simple. I am just adding greenery in now. As I mentioned, you could easily have added greenery to this prior to painting the actual flowers. You give it a base and then maybe add some in after you got done painting the flowers. But I didn't want to do that because then it would be wet on wet and it would be too much of the paint mixing. It might have smeared too much for me. Alright, so I'm continuing on here. Let's stand this up for a second. I need to put some more paint on my palette. And we'll be done here shortly. I appreciate you hanging in here with me. I'm going to put a wiggle one here. I promise at some point I'm going to start doing more movement with my petals. But I really like to concentrate on doing the easy stuff with you. And I like layering it because then that to me gives it more durability if you layer. Because your paint's a little bit thicker on your item. And remember, I like a lot of leaves. If you're not somebody who likes a lot of leaves, then by all means, you don't have to paint as many as I do. I just like them. I don't know why I like them, to be honest with you, but I do. Alright, so I'm going to stop with the leaves at this point. Just don't need to get too carried away with them. I'm going to put a little bit of this brown on my, this burnt umber on my plate. Now, I am going to tap in my centers with this Deerfoot Stippler. I'm going to tap in. First I'm going, because I haven't really done this too much, so I'm going to go ahead and tap in the center with the School Bus Yellow. I could try to double load these, but I'm going to do it single just for the purpose of the video. Once I get a little better with them, then I will try to do something fancier. But I do like it so far. I think tapping in the centers can be a challenge. You know, to get them exactly the way you want them. Not hard, but a challenge. Okay, that's all my open ones. So then I'm going to try to load some of that brown on the back end and just tap in like that, a little bit towards the back end of the Deerfoot. And when I load the paint in, I do tap it on my plate to kind of get some of it out. But I'm going to just lightly tap in here. And I'll probably just hit into the tapped out paint. Put it like that. Just tapping very lightly. And I'll come back here and tap a little bit. I like it. Alright, so then on these I am going to tap in some dots. You can do this or leave it out if you don't want to do it. That's fine. But I like to add some dots to the centers periodically. Just gives it some more interest. Now, if you want, you can add other colors into it. So I think I might add a little bit of the brown. And I can make them, you know, smaller or lighter. So a little bit of white on it still. Cute. And these are just fun, funky flowers. There's really not a name to them. I'm not trying to paint anything in particular. They're just funky pink flowers. There you go. Alright, so easy, as I mentioned, I think. Hope you like it. And if you have any questions, like I said, please put them down below in the comments. If you like this painting, like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you get notified whenever I post something new. And at the end of the video, after you've watched it, please hit that share button that's below the video. That will allow you to share my videos with your family and friends on your social network. Alright, I appreciate your time, and until the next time, you have a good one.